So the defense secretary has been fired. That's the main news. Mark Esper fired by Donald Trump in an over the top way that I'll explain. So you know what? I got to be fair to the people who were. Let's have fun. Let's keep going. Okay, I couldn't make up my mind on whether to do a new video or not. All right, so big news. Trump is fired as defense secretary, Mark Esper. This video is sponsored by you guys. Hit the join button below. As some of you already did super chat and join while hearing the earlier portion that didn't have audio. Anyways, also shoptyt.com. Grab them by the ballot. And You're Fired are in shoptyt.com. So anyways, Mark Esper is, according to Donald Trump, quote, been terminated. So now let me tell you why you should be concerned and not concerned. So they already had a big running beef because Donald Trump didn't like the fact that Mark Esper has defined him before. How did he define him? Well, the most important part was he said, I will not use the military inside the U.S. unless it is warranted. We will not use them in a police force manner. We will not use them to bring, put down protests over George Floyd, et cetera. Now, he said that not even as strongly or clearly as I did. He just made it clear that we're not going to use the U.S. military inside U.S. borders. Is Esper right about that? Constitutional and legally? Of course he's right. But Trump was furious about it because he doesn't care about the Constitution, and he wanted to reserve the option of using the military to put down protests in a different scenario, like for example, if he would lose the election but wouldn't admit to losing the election. A scenario kind of like what we have today. So the reason to be concerned is if you were going to do a coup, the very first thing you would do is fire your defense secretary who said he would not use the military inside America. That's the very first thing you would do. Okay. Now, do I think that Trump's going for a coup? I think that if he thought he could get away with it, would he do it? Absolutely. I don't care what any other pundit says. I don't care what they do to try to appeal to their corporate advertisers, and Walmart would be upset if you said it. I don't care. If he could, he definitely would. Now, I don't think he can. So I'm not very concerned about it at all. So he's replaced Esper with Christopher Miller, director of National Counterterrorism Center, within the range of Trump's administration. I don't know to what degree Miller is insane or not insane. There's like an insanity spectrum within the Trump administration, and I don't know where he is in that spectrum. If we have an update on that, I'll let you guys know. But Trump had even if Trump wanted to, then he tells Miller, okay, now we're going to use the military to put down everyone who disagrees that I won. What is the military going to do? Go invade CNN and New York Times buildings? It's insane. None of that could possibly work. And I guess there's a point at which Mitch McConnell and other Republicans would come out and go, you're this close to destroying the entire party. Although in this election, they all voted for you anyway, 93% of Republicans. But there's got to be a bounds of reason somewhere. So basically, no one's going to let him get away with it, is my honest assessment. And, people say, hey, you shouldn't be worried that he's firing Esper now, given that he's saying he hasn't lost the election and he's not going to let it go. And he's kind of barricaded himself inside the White House because he was already planning to fire Esper. That's true. And I agree with that as well. But he was planning to fire Esper because Esper wouldn't use the military inside America. So those two things are potentially connected, and it should be noted for the record. They had other disagreements. Esper also was open to renaming the military installations and forts that we have away from Confederate general names. Trump was also mad at him for that. He disavowed Matty Mo. Thank you, brother, for the super chat. I'm going to read out the names in a second. Esper disavowed that photo op they did when they cleared out Lafayette Square. Trump was furious about that. By the way, look, we're honest news. There's actually one thing that Trump is right about in his battle with Esper. Esper is a defense secretary lobbyist and part of the establishment, et cetera. And Trump continued almost all of our wars. He just did one withdrawal for his buddy Erdogan in Turkey in northern Syria, but he continued the war machine. But rhetorically, he was against it. Not in action, not in substance, but rhetorically he was. And in his frustration with Esper, said, oh, he just wants the defense contractors to get rich off the wars. Well, that part is totally true. Okay, so in this case, when you count the photo op disagreement, the military use inside America disagreement, and then renaming the military bases and the defense contractor role. So Trump goes 1 for 4. He's 25% right about Esper, 75% wrong. So at the end of the day, even if he was going to try to do something extraordinary using the military and not acknowledging that he has lost, he is very unlikely to get away with it. And he had been planning to fire Esper, and Esper had actually already written his resignation letter, because there was, at this point, they loathed each other. So that's a good mark for Esper. But again, I want to remind you guys of something important about guys like Esper. But before we do that, I'm doing this on my computer, and hence a little mix up in the beginning for people who were there for that. Anyway, so let me read out some names here from the computer. Darth Campia the Wise, thank you for the super chat. Johnny Birdie, thank you for joining. Peter Hamby, Peter, great to see you. Thank you for the super chat. Druid Trucker, thank you for joining, especially at the premium level. And Carr, same thing. Thank you for joining at the premium level. You hit the join button below. You could also upgrade through there, by the way. So I might have missed some folks here as I was going through the news. Ahmed Hindawi, thank you for using super chat. You guys make this show possible. You're everything to us, and you kept us going through 2020, and we appreciate it. So, and again, if you want your Fired shirt's on fire. Funny enough, this one at shoptyt.com. There's the blue, the white, and the black version, the sweatshirts, etc. That we also have. Grabbed them by the ballot. Mama Bear, that's so funny. Mama Bear, thank you for signing up to be a Young Turks member. But the last thing about the Esper guys is, look, the folks like Tillerson and Mattis and Kelly and Esper, who we all know privately disagreed with Trump, will be lionized by the CNNs and MSNBCs of the world after the election. Oh my God, they were so brave. They're so brave. They spoke out. No, actually, they literally were not brave, and they did not speak out publicly, except for a tiny bit from Mattis. They cared way more about their career, their legacy, their reputation than doing the right thing. None of them spoke out before the election. And remember, they were all bad guys to begin with. They were already establishment corporate Republicans who systematically rob us blind through deregulation, tax cuts, subsidies to oil companies, massive contracts to defense contractors. So I don't want revisionist history on any of that. They were all bad guys and continue to be bad guys. They were not nuclear level crazy like Trump, but that is too low a bar to give someone a lot of credit, like MSNBC will invariably do going forward, if I'm being honest. Okay, and that's what I do. So on a 6 o'clock show today, Donald Trump threatening to run for re-election in 2024, although he has not acknowledged, and apparently going on tour to say that he has not lost this election. We'll tell you about the tour. We'll tell you about 2024. 6 o'clock every day is the main show, Young Turks. So make sure you're checking that out. So Ryan Spears, 1986, thank you for joining, brother. Appreciate it. Matthew Paris, thank you for joining. MJ, thank you for joining. I don't know if I can still see it here, but I know Matty Mo upgraded in the middle of the video too. So thank you again, brother, for doing that. We appreciate it. And Matthew Parisi, I forget if I did the shout out there. And the Tillmans, Wellington Smith, and I'm sure I missed some folks, but I got to go prepare the rest of the show. Love you guys. Thank you for being Young Turks subscribers and carrying us. We deeply appreciate it. See you soon.